Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our program with C++ series. Sure, we did something on our previous lectures was how C++ was used and why the use of C++ and why object oriented. And in this our episode, we will try we will try we will try to explain the introduction types, which are the fundamental types such as the Boolean character type, integer, floating point, float, and what size. By going so our objective is to introduce the declaration, learn the structure of declaration, declaring multiple names, scope, initialization, and data type refers to the various forms data can be presented in a language. A data type, let's say if you need a whole number, for a whole number it goes by what, the integer, and a float number goes by what, a decimal, and a double also go by what, a decimal, and boolean go by the true values, which are what, true or false, and what we have the char, and the char is what, for single what characters you can use symbol, but with that one you go with one quotation. So by going to what are the categories of data type, we have the integral type, which contains the integer, character, and boolean, and we have the integral floating point type, called the arithmetic type, and we have the enumeration and the classes are called what, the user defined type. The user defined type means the user himself can define a class or a data type of his choice to use in what, in his code. And we have the fundamental type and the pointer, which we will talk in our next two videos. And we have the reference and are all built in the type. They are all built in what, in the C++. We have the data set. As we have the data set specifies a range of what values a data type is composed of. Each data type has its data set. Every data set has its bytes, memory bytes, and it has its own function. Integral data type, it plays its role as holding of whole numbers. And what do we mean by whole numbers? Numbers without a decimal numbers. And what do we mean by that? A whole number example is 1 2 3 4 5 6. And what do we mean by decimal? A decimal which is maybe a decimal running with, maybe after the point we have 15 decimal, that will be for double. And we have the floating two, which is also what, the significance of running a digit a decimal number, which is for what, the float. We have the character, and the character is what, for single quotation, and we have the string, which is what, for double quotation. But going so, I just explained that we have the integral, like how my slide says. So we have integer for our whole numbers, float point is used for decimal point with a single precision, and we have the floating point double decimal number with a double precision. We have the data type, character, letter, number, symbols, boolean, true values, and string and combination of characters. And we have the boolean, which is the truth, which are what, the truth what value, which are the true false string combination of characters. And that's, maybe you can define hello world, and you have to bring what, two quotation signs. And we have the data size. Every data has what, its size of bytes it contains, and specifying the amount of memory a data is allocated in a data type. Each data type has its data size. Using size of keyword determine the size of the fundamental data types. And the data size, it goes by integer uses for 4 bytes, and 1 bit makes what? 8 bytes. Sorry, 1 byte makes what? 8 bits. So whereby integer has what? 4 bits. And we have what? We have the floating point. Floating point which uses what? 4 bytes. 4 bytes. And we have the floating point double usage which have 8 bytes. And we have the character uses 1 byte. And we have the boolean uses 1 byte. And we have the string uses 32 bytes. So integer types, we like I we said, integer, decimal, like say infinity integer, negative integer infinity to positive integer infinity. So we have the negative 0. But to write in a positive integer, you don't need to bring the positive sign like how we did for the negative sign. No, you don't have to do it. As far as you just write it in without a sign, it specifies that it is a positive number. A positive integer do not have what? A sign in front of them. No comma are used within an integer. Let's say maybe you are to write 1000. You don't need to bring a comma to the 1 before the 3 zeros. If you do so, it will detect an error, because to write 1000, just write it 1 with 3 zeros behind. That's all. But don't break any comma in front, or where to bring to to try to divide the numbers to know the amount of value is inside. And commas are used for separating items and lists, and we will talk about it. That's ranges and those stuffs, and we have a lot to go through. Integer type. For integer type, for example, to declare integer, you need include using namespace std int, as we discussed earlier on our previous name. You need the data type, and this int is the data type, and x is what? Identifier, and this is what? Our assignment. That's the equal, and we have what? Our value, and we will have this being called our terminator, which is also known as the semicolon. But in programming with the word, you have to use terminator. So to define a data type, or to initialize a data type, you need your data type. Let's say example int. For this our example, we are using int, which hold a whole number. And we have what? The identifier. Maybe let's say a box whereby you put blue ball inside. So the box is what? The identifier. And what? Inside the box, which is the assignment, and what? The value is what? The blue ball, and what? The semicolon. Then, as we said, return O for the what? The compiler to run all the code completely. What do we mean by floating point? Floating point represents floating point of numbers. It has 3 types. We have the float and double. Float is a single precision, and double is also a double precision, and long double is extended precision. You see, this one is what? Single, then double is a double precision, and long double is what? Extended precisions. So that's what we mean by it. And what to write in a code, you just need what? Your data type being what? Here we are discussing float. Data type being what? Float. And that have the amount, the identifier, the assignment. Here the assignment being the equal, and the what? The value. Decimal. Float holds what? A decimal number ranging from 6 to what? 7 decimals, whereby double is what? 15 and more. So return, then you close. That's all. Double, say double can hold a lot of decimal behind. You see, you bring what? Your data type, which will be double, the identifier, the salary, and the assignment being highlighted. Shit. And what? And what? Our value. So right now, try and make a sample of this the data type I just defined right now, and come back. I'll pause, and I will give you like 30 minutes to come back. I'm sorry, 30 seconds to come back. All right, come back. to go. So I guess you had the right answer. That's good attempt. Try to always attempt my examples to, you know, to make sure that you understand. Boolean. A Boolean is used to express results of logical operation. What do we mean by logical? For a thing to be logical, it needs to specify whether it's a true or false what values or statement. It is also known as the bool. What do we mean bool? It is what it is what the data type which holds a true or false value. It has true values which are the what? The true and what? The false. And the true represents 1. That means yes. And the false represents what? Was 0. And if you write a code and you use the bool type and the value of the bool gives you 1, it means it is a yes. And whenever you run the code and the terminal give an output of 0, it means a false value, also known as no. That's what the program is. So 1 represents yes and 0 represents no. Boolean. And this is how it's also written. So a bool, and we bring our what identifier, the name we are to give to what our value. It's raining. It's got to what true. So if it's raining, then it will the terminal will bring output of what 1. That's what we mean. My VS Code is not working right now. I wish like I would go and make some practical work on it, but I'm sorry. And the character is the smallest integral data type. Each character is enclosed with single quotes. Some of the values belongs to a char data type. This all this above is a defined what is a what character type. Character can hold number, alphabet, numerical numbers, symbols, operation signs, a lot of things. And remember, a blank space in a character is written as you bring the one quotation, then press your backspace. Sorry, and press your space bar to give that space. Space bar left between the single quotations, so it will not determine it's a space to give gap within a word. And what do we mean by character type? Here's how a char, a char, a short form of character. And then you see for this one it's one quotation file, but for string it's what double quotation we get on string too. So string, a program defined type supplying what standard library, sequence of zeros or more characters enclosed in double quotation marks. Null, you see for string, it's whenever you are to initialize your file, you have to bring the two double quotation. And we have the null, a string with no what characters. Each character has relative or positive in string. Now we have a null string. Each character has a relative position while string. So we can just try to know the index of every character in what every character in what the string. We can try to identify that. And this is how it's right. The data type being the what string. We have the identifier being what the name. We have the assignment operator being what the equal sign. We have what our value being what AMA. You bring return 0. Remember to always bring your what signifies absence of information. Syntactically, a fundamental data type can be used only as part of more complicated type, mostly used in functions. For now, it's used to void. Void. What do we mean by void? It's the absence of an information. So it is a data type. And here's how you can write it. That's how the void is also written. We will have the sign and the unsigned. Both type are modifier. Sign has positive and negative value. The unsigned only represent what non-negative value, 0 or positive. For the sign, it can hold, let's say, a decimal, negative and positive, but the unsigned only holds what 0 to positive infinitive values. So if you declare, if you bring this data type and you write a negative number, it will detect an error. So the sign is like a constant, trying to collect only positive what numerical numbers. If you bring a negative, it will detect what an error. That's what we mean by the answer. Yeah, here's how it's written. You see that it can contain a bunch of numbers. That's how we take the answer. The answer just take just what a positive number. You don't need to stress. We have the other fundamental, which are the short 2 bytes, and the long 4 bytes, and we have the long 8 bytes. We have the composite type, we have the pointer arrays and reference types. We have the user defined type, data structure and classes, and numerical representing the specific set of what values. We have the declare multiple names. It is used to declare several names in a single declaration. Declaration uses what comma for separation, mostly done for simple what data type. For if you need to declare in a one line, maybe int, you need to like to declare multiple values. When you say int a comma int, you have int a comma b c, then you bring your initialization values and give it to them. That's how we work on it. We have the declaration. This is how it looks. It's we have the code, the local scope and the global scope, class scope, namespace scope, and statement scope. These are the scopes. This is how the global scope. If the if every value comes before what the function is a global, but for the loader here to here is what the local scope. Out of the loader, out of the loader is called, oh my goodness. And we have the declaration. The identifier name must be declared before being used in C++. Inform the compiler what kind of entity the identifier refers to. What do we mean by what kind of identity? Declare what data type the identifier is holding. For if you are using, if you need a whole number, you have to use the int, and if you need the char, you have to use the single quotation. String, you have to use string, and you have to use double for decimal, float for decimal too. We have the constant double pi, which is a constant number pi value. It cannot be changed. As far as it's constant, no matter how it will not change. I have the declaration bring, we are initialize the what the initial value of an object. It can use to modify value, and an initializer can use one of four syntactic skills, which are in this way. Yeah, that's how it looks like. And I think we are almost done with our episode for today, and we have what the initialization. And this is how it looks like, the assignment operator and what they follow. That's how it looks like. Thank you for being here, and I'm so happy to see you back for this episode. It was so interesting journey, and I really appreciate. Please do subscribe and like and share to show how helpful my video help you to be a good programmer. Thank you and have a good day. Goodbye. Salam.